nerding out about?
Oh, well, Joe, you had two things in here, and I was curious about the second one, and now you took it away.
That's because I already talked about it. It was bookshops and bone dust.
Yeah, I thought
it was the audio
that's
book.
The thing. That's the thing. You're like, you're not going to let me talk about a book? I'm like, I'm pretty sure you have a book and you're nerding out. That seems like a book, but all right, fine. All right, what you got?
Arcane. So Arcane season 2 came out recently, and it sounds like Douglas watched it.
You just stole mine. I just can't. I was like, I'm gonna talk about Arcane season 2.
Oh man, so they're done with Arcane. That doesn't mean they're done with League of Legends entertainment in general, but they are done with Arcane. They had what I absolutely love about the story from the back end stuff is that they had funding for like 6 seasons. So they chose to end it after 2 seasons specifically because that was the story they wanted to tell. And I absolutely love that that's what they did. But they've also said, look, that doesn't mean we're done creating cartoons, creating these stories. We're not done.
Actually, it's animation.
Actually. And the story itself is very compelling, very good. There's a very, very, very minute part of the League of Legends fandom who is upset because they keep changing the lore over and over and over. Like, not just Arcane. Arcane has changed the lore quite a bit as well. But along the way, they've revamped the lore 3 or 4 times. And they've even gone as far as to say Arcane lore is it's self-contained. The animated lore is self-contained and not necessarily the lore behind the game. And so I don't know if I'm assuming that they don't want to be fenced in to be beholden to what they're showing. But even still, the stories told are amazing. It's great to see some of these characters that I've played League of Legends a lot. I come back to it every now and again. I used to play a ton. Like I was basically addicted to it. That's how much I played it. And so I don't play near as much nowadays, but I'll still hop on and play a few rounds here or there. If you haven't played the game and you're curious to play the game, just know that the player base is very toxic. So just leave chat turned off, and you're probably fine. But yeah, no, the storytelling was great. They tied almost everything up, and based on some of the hinting at the end, I'm assuming there's going to be I am assuming that either a character or a setting will be part of the next set, because they showed a very specific crow, and one of the characters, he is very crow themed, and it's a monstrous form of a crow, so it's a very specific crow. So I'm assuming that we're going to be seeing that character and or where he's from. But yeah, so I'm excited to see what they do in the future. And yeah, I think my only complaint is they overused
camping.
No, so they it's a style, it's a choice. For some people, this might have been their favorite part, but they overused basically music videos. They had a bunch of scenes that were basically music videos, and a lot of them were very good. And as a self-contained thing, were very good. None of them were bad. It's just like every episode, it's like, okay, where's the music video in this episode? So.
Yeah, a little bit more overt.
Yes. So, but I really like. There was one specific music video scene that I really liked some of the symbolism in it, because they shot it at a lower FPS on purpose, where they they did it at 4 frames per second.
Yeah, Jinx and
Echo.
yeah,
Yep.
yeah.
Specific,
I didn't know if we're spoilery.
Jinx and Echo were in that specific scene, and Echo, his ultimate, the duration of it is a 4-second ultimate. So they did 4 FPS for a 4-second ultimate, and so there was a theme of 4 during that scene, which I really liked. All in all, they pay a lot of attention to the minute details and the continuity, and it all just meshes really well.
Wow.
That's very cool. Now, Douglas, something special just happened this week for one of your favorite movies.
Well, what you talking about? This? Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally. So I was super jacked, and then B, upset that this has not happened sooner. But they just allowed, it's like the Hall of Fame mixed with like a time capsule preservation pod of human society should be annihilated. They elect these films to go onto what's called the National Film Registry. So these are recognized as culturally relevant, precious films culturally in the United States. And a bunch of them got in, and they'll grab a movie from 1921, 1938. So it could be from any spectrum of films. And one of the most notable was Star Trek II: The Wrath of Khan. Definitely my favorite Star Trek movie. I can watch that over and over again. And I've seen it in 4K now, and it's even better. I love it. So Star Trek II definitely has me geeking out because it's made it to the national film. So hopefully some other Star Treks will make it in there. I think Star Trek 6 is a good candidate. Also another good Star Trek, and possibly Star Trek 4, I think, is culturally relevant. It came out right after the Challenger exploded, and they dedicate the film to the crew of the Challenger. They save the whales. There's some time travel in there. So there's a lot to like in Star Trek 4.
I would say arguably from a storytelling perspective, Star Trek II is probably the best Star Trek movie that they put out. But then The Voyage Home was arguably the most Star Trek of the Star Trek films.
Yeah, they were tackling real philosophical ideas throughout
while
the story.
time traveling at the same time. Yeah.
Man, it's been so long since I saw 4. What was the reason why they had to get the whales back? Wasn't it to prevent some kind of invasion or something?
There was a probe that came from outer space. It was communicating with the Earth, but the communication waves were so violent it was going to destroy the Earth. And they found out that the communication wave was actually whale song, and that they were targeting Earth's oceans. So, but they couldn't respond to the probe because humpback whales had been hunted to extinction. So Kirk and crew aboard a captured bird of prey Klingon vessel go back in time
They
to
whip
San
around
Francisco.
The sun, don't they, to help get that going?
Yeah, one lap around the sun. They end up in San Francisco, 1987, and they have to bring 2 humpback whales back into the future. It's a crazy plot, but it totally works, and it's a lot of fun.
I think the scene that I remember the most is how nonchalant Scotty is about the time paradox of creating that specialized glass.
Yeah.
Yes.
And he's just like,
who knows? I didn't invent it.
Well, Joseph, you were fresh off of Back to the Future in 1985, where they told you can't have these kind of paradoxes.
but I don't know why, but the best scene that's always stuck in my mind is like, hello, computer, you have to use the mouse. Computer, and he speaks into the mouse and tries to get the computer to do things. It was so good.
Some weird looks.
Yeah. Fun little tidbit. I cannot remember if it was, Star Trek time travels, like in every series ever, there's some kind of time travel story arc in all of them. Because I at one point I was really bored at work, and I binge watched from the first episode of the 1960s Star Trek all the way through. At the time, we had just stopped airing Enterprise with Scott Bakula, And so I just binge watched everything. And when you binge watch Star Trek, it becomes painfully obvious they love time travel because they'll work it in to every series. And sometimes it's multiple seasons, sometimes it's not. But I think it was in Picard season 2 or 3, whenever they time traveled and went back to Earth, back to the past to Earth. The guy, I think they're back in 97 or something like that. So you remember in 4 and 87, there's a guy with the boombox playing the punk music, and Spock did the thing, and they brought that same actor who's now 30 years older and forward in time, whatever, as it would be in real life. He was on a bus with, I think Jerry Ryan as 7 of 9 was the character. And he's sitting there blasting music. She looks at him and just turns it off.
Oh my God, I've got to see that episode.
Yeah. Just Google it.
Picard?
I think it was Picard. That was it. That's on Paramount Plus. But Google it. I'm sure you go, punk boombox guy from 4, and you'll probably find the scene side by side. But it was a fun little nod to it.
That's a perfect Easter egg.
Yeah, it's good stuff. Okay, so mine are newish nerding outs, right? I just rewatched Solo Leveling again, then went to the theater to see the new episode of the 2nd season come out, and love that just kind of thing of being brought into another world. And I believe that's called Isekai.
Yeah,
Joe. Hey, I got it right. And so Isekai is a portal world, right? You come from a world where
portal
more or less
fantasy,
it's real world, and then you get sucked into something else. And typically, the ones I watch are kind of video game based. I get sucked into some kind of video game type thing. So I actually went at Netflix going, I need some more cannon fodder on my Netflix to run in the background while I'm doing stuff. So I looked up Isekai, and this one popped up. It's just called Overlord, and it's not the greatest, but it is entertaining. And the premise is, in the first 5 minutes got me. It's like, okay, I don't care how bad this is, because it's not going to be, I didn't need one I focused on. I have plenty of animated shows that I focus on. I just need something I could watch and listen to and go, oh, that's funny, and keep going back to work. And in the first 5 minutes, it's some game like World of Warcraft style. And they're obviously in a lobby for the game, because they're sitting at this castle table, and you got a big skeleton face, huge guy, and these other weird characters. But they're talking like we're talking, like, hey, man, I got to log off. I'm going to go get my homework done. And then the big scary skeleton guy's like, yeah, I get that. I got to go see my mom or something like that. It's just hilarious. In the I didn't expect that to happen. Well, the main character, who is the big skeleton dude, they didn't finish the raid, whatever. Everybody logs off. He's like, well, let me see if I can finish some other stuff up before the server goes down for maintenance. And I guess the real premise of the game is more like a VR type thing instead of just a video controller, because he didn't log out before the server went down, and then his consciousness somehow gets caught in the game. So you swap back and forth between his normal real world voice and the character's voice. And,
because his internal voice is his human voice.
Have you seen this one, Joe?
Oh yeah, I have.
Of course you have. Of course you've seen this one.
But yeah, and him and his whole guild get transported to this other world. Like they're not
the guild. The guilds are all logged off. It's the non-playable characters.
Yes, all the NPCs from his guild.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. They get transported to another world, and so he's got to figure out everything, and he's also got to figure out how to invoke his spells and stuff, because he's a spellcaster, and he's like, I don't have the game interface. How do I use this stuff? So there's a little bit of a learning curve there, but it's got this very interesting dichotomy where him as a human knows that he should act one way, but his character
is an evil overlord.
He is evil. Not only that, but he's feeling things in reality now, whereas he didn't behind a screen, a virtual reality. And so he is now a skeleton, so he's undead, and so he no longer has emotions, and so he has to. he struggles with that. So it's an interesting internal dichotomy of having this new awareness thrust upon him on what, from a logical and memory basis, this is how I should act, versus how he feels in the moment and how other people expect him, like the NPCs expect him to act. And so it creates a very interesting storytelling dichotomy there.
He's trapped in the persona almost.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
And then it's even kind of funnier because all the characters are programmed and they're obviously non-player characters. And so it's like, in this world there's humans, and of course he's like, well, I will protect this village, and they want to go kill all the humans because they hate humans because they're all evil. And he's like, no, stop. I can't make you like the humans, but go protect them. And yeah, it's fun. It's a lot
interesting.
of fun.
So how far are you now? Because I think there's 4 or 5 seasons out.
3 episodes.
Oh, okay.
Like he just defeated an angel,
wow.
whatever thing. So yeah, I'm barely getting into it so far.
And this is on Netflix?
Yeah, it's on Netflix.
Yeah, I can't remember how many of the seasons are on Netflix, but yeah, a bunch of them are there.
Wow. It's called Overlord.
Overlord.
Yeah. And I mean, the animation makes it feel a little bit cheaper or older. I don't know when it was made. It's not like the most current cutting edge, but it's enjoyable, and I'm having fun with it. I kind of like that fish out of water kind of story.
It's not very old. It's within the past 5 years that it came out.
So they just kind of use a cheaper style of, or it feels
an older
cheaper,
style,
an older style of animation. Yeah.
Yeah, and all four seasons are on Netflix. So at least the U.S. version of Netflix. So
sounds pretty cool.
Now another one, because one of y'all mentioned something. Oh, you're talking about Arcane and a game, and I love Death and Robots on Netflix. So the same people who did those 2 seasons and that whole vignette of different stories now have done it for Amazon called Secret Level, and it's all licensed games that they're doing these stories out of. I just started it the other night, and it's D&D. It was the first episode, and it's straight up.
I heard there's a Mega Man episode too.
I've heard that as well, and I've heard they only dropped half of the episodes so far. Like they dropped the first half in one batch, and then the second half is going to come in the spring or something like that.
And it's on what platform?
That's on Amazon Prime. And
I heard it got re-upped for a new season already too.
Yeah, before they dropped it, they announced there's going to be a season 2, which is not unexpected because you get great directors to do these little short films. I mean, they really are short films, and you get these amazing animators and great story writers. And the difference between the two is Love, Death, and Robots is really just stories, whereas this is licensed game properties written in conjunction with the people who control the lore of those games.
So I haven't watched what Life, Death, Robots or Secret Level. Are they all? Is it like an anthology where each one is a self-contained story? Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And there are some incredible episodes in that show. Man, there's always some that are better than others, but they don't really have bad episodes, right? There's like good, and then there's phenomenal.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it. And every episode is a different style of animation. So you get like almost realistic 3D rendering down to 90s style cartoon animation. Dog Soldiers was one of my favorites.
Yes,
that was.
I was just gonna say there are some episodes that I've watched over and over and over again. They're just so dang good, and they're short enough to where they're so easily consumable. Like you're like, I'll watch it again. I got 20 minutes. Who cares?
Yeah.
And that wasn't great.
Fairly short. I like to do it in the way they present it. So I started with D&D, and then my wife came in. We had to go do something, so I only cut it off halfway through the episode. But I'm very much looking forward to God of War. Is one of my favorite properties, and they have a God of War episode for sure in there. So yeah, it's I'm very excited about it. I'm excited they're going to do a second season because that's just, I will consume that all day long. I mean, like you said, hey, I got 10 minutes. I just want to wind down for the night. Yeah. Let me watch an episode. And I will watch Love, Death, and Robots every year or so. Because they haven't put out another one until the Secret Level, which is not exactly the same. I'll just go back and pick a season and start randomly going through and watching again.
That's awesome.